Imagine waking up tomorrow with complete control over your words, your emotions, your money, and even your thoughts. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? But over 2,000 years ago, one man believed this level of self-mastery was possible. Not only possible, he believed it was the key to living a truly free life. His name was Epictetus, and he was born a slave. Think about that for a moment. He didn't control his own body. He had no freedom to go where he wanted, no control over his circumstances. He was owned by another human being. Yet somehow, this man uncovered a truth so powerful that it transformed him from a physical slave into one of history's greatest teachers of mental and emotional freedom. He once said, "No one can hurt you without your permission." At first, that may sound harsh, especially to someone facing real pain. But what he truly meant was this: we may not control everything that happens to us, but we always control how we respond. And inside that response lies our greatest power. Most people today aren't physically enslaved, but many are trapped in other ways. We become prisoners of careless words, unstable emotions, unhealthy spending habits, and negative thinking. We say things we later regret. We allow temporary moods to ruin entire days. We spend money we don't have on things we don't really need. And our minds constantly spiral into fear, anxiety, doubt, and overthinking. But what if the same wisdom that mentally freed a Roman slave could also free you? What if the very things you struggle to control, your mouth, mood, money, and mind, could actually become your greatest strengths? The ancient Stoics understood something many people have forgotten today. Real wealth isn't measured by how much money you have. It's measured by how much control you have over yourself. Real power doesn't come from controlling other people. It comes from mastering yourself. And true freedom isn't about having unlimited choices. It's about consistently making the right choices every single day. Life constantly gives us opportunities to practice this. Someone insults you or cuts you off in traffic. That's your chance to control your mouth and your mood. You feel tempted to buy something unnecessary. That's your opportunity to take control of your money. Your mind starts filling with fear or self-doubt. That's your moment to regain control of your thoughts. The beauty of Stoic wisdom is that it never demands perfection. Even Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, struggled with these same challenges. In his personal journal, he reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This philosophy isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming so grounded within yourself that outside chaos no longer controls you. When you control your mouth, you speak with purpose instead of impulse. When you control your mood, you stop becoming a victim of every emotion you feel. When you manage your money wisely, it becomes a source of peace instead of stress. And when you master your mind, you become the creator of your thoughts rather than their prisoner. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover the 4 pillars of personal mastery. You'll learn timeless Stoic wisdom that is more relevant today than ever before. And most importantly, you'll walk away with practical lessons you can start using immediately. But there's one condition. This only works if you truly commit to it. Every section builds upon the previous one. So don't skip ahead. Stay with me until the end, because this journey could genuinely change your life. If you're ready to take back control of your life, hit the like button. Comment below and tell me which of the 4 M's, mouth, mood, money, or mind, you struggle with the most. And make sure you subscribe, because your journey towards self-mastery is only beginning. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, because real power always begins within. And finally, write this in the comments: I am the master of my mouth, mood, money, and mind. Lesson 1. Control what you can. Reduce unnecessary anxiety. Number 1. Master your mouth, the doorway to wisdom. There's an old saying, the tongue is small, but the damage it can cause is enormous. But most people miss something important. Your words don't only affect other people, Every sentence you speak is either shaping a stronger version of yourself or weakening the person you're becoming. The Stoic philosopher Seneca spent years observing how powerful words could be inside the Roman Senate. He watched people build respect, influence, and success through wise communication. But he also saw lives, friendships, and reputations destroyed by careless speech. Over time, he realized something even deeper. The way we speak doesn't just reveal who we are, it slowly creates who we become. Seneca once wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." And this is especially true with our words. Every time you speak, one version of you disappears, and another takes its place. So the real question is, are your words shaping someone you're proud to become? Think about the last time you spoke out of anger and instantly regretted it. You probably wished you could take those words back. That moment revealed the danger of speaking without control. Your emotions spoke before your wisdom had a chance to respond. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine if every word you spoke was intentional instead of emotional. Imagine choosing your words carefully rather than simply reacting. The Stoics practiced something simple but life-changing: the pause. Before speaking, especially during emotional situations, they would stop for a moment and ask themselves 3 questions. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? If the answer to even one of those questions was no, they stayed silent. But mastering your mouth isn't only about avoiding negative words, it's also about learning to use positive words with purpose. When you sincerely compliment someone, you're not only improving their day, you're training your own mind to notice goodness. When you encourage others, you teach your brain to focus on opportunities instead of problems. Your words slowly shape your mindset. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Be like the rocky shore against which the waves constantly crash. It stands firm while the raging waters grow calm around it." That's exactly what controlled speech can do. In a world filled with anger, arguments, and impulsive reactions, your calm and thoughtful words become a source of peace and strength for others. Here's a simple practice that can immediately improve your relationships. For the next 7 days, whenever you find yourself in an emotional conversation, pause and take 3 deep breaths before speaking. With the first breath, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? With the second breath, ask, what might the other person be feeling? And with the third breath, ask, what words would create the best outcome for everyone involved? This small habit can completely change the way you communicate. The powerful thing about mastering your speech is that it creates a ripple effect. When you speak with calmness and intention, people naturally trust you more. They listen more carefully. They value your opinions more deeply, and they begin turning to you for advice and guidance. This isn't manipulation, it's simply the natural result of becoming someone whose words carry wisdom and self-control. But maybe the greatest benefit of mastering your mouth is the relationship it builds with yourself. Every time you keep a promise you spoke out loud, you strengthen self-trust. Every time you speak kindly about yourself, you slowly rebuild your self-image. And every time you avoid gossip, complaining, or negativity, you protect your mental energy and focus it on things you can actually control. Always remember this: your words don't just express your thoughts, they shape them. If you constantly speak with gratitude, confidence, wisdom, and possibility, your mind will eventually begin thinking that way automatically. You slowly become the person your words repeatedly describe. Your mouth is the bridge between your inner world and the outside world. And when you learn to control that bridge, you begin controlling the energy flowing in both directions. In the next lesson, we'll explore how this same principle applies to your emotions and your mood. Until then, repeat this affirmation daily. I speak with wisdom, not impulse. Lesson 2. Let go of negativity. Protect your mental health. Imagine waking up every morning and having someone else control the weather inside your mind. Some days, they choose anger and frustration. Other days, they fill your mind with sadness, anxiety, or stress. And once in a while, if you're lucky, they allow you to feel peace and happiness. The truth is, this is exactly how many people live their lives. Their emotions are completely controlled by outside situations. But the Stoics discovered something powerful more than 2,000 years ago. You are not a prisoner of your emotions. You are the one who shapes them. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist, discovered this truth during one of the darkest periods in human history. While suffering inside Nazi concentration camps, he realized something life-changing. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose." Think about that for a moment. Between what happens to you and how you react, there is always a small space. Sometimes it lasts only a second. But inside that moment is your power, the power to choose your response instead of reacting automatically. The Stoics called this emotional discipline. Not suppressing emotions, but learning how to guide them wisely. It's not about wanting less from life. It's about accepting what you cannot control while focusing your energy on what you can control. Once you understand this, your emotions stop controlling you. Instead, you begin learning how to manage them like a skilled musician controls an instrument. Here's something most people never realize. Your emotions are not facts, they are interpretations. For example, imagine someone doesn't reply to your message. The situation itself is neutral, but your mind immediately creates a story. They're ignoring me. They're upset with me. They don't care anymore. But what if the truth is completely different? Maybe they're busy. Maybe their phone died. Maybe they simply forgot to reply. Your mind creates emotional suffering by assuming the worst. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Every morning, he prepared himself for difficult people, stressful moments, and unexpected problems. But instead of fearing those challenges, he viewed them as opportunities to strengthen his emotional control. Try this simple exercise right now. Think about a situation that's been bothering you lately. Now ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this situation? Then ask, what's another possible explanation? And finally ask, which interpretation helps me grow instead of suffer? That's where emotional freedom begins. Because the moment you realize you've been creating your emotional story all along, you also realize you have the power to rewrite it. But emotional mastery doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It's not fake positivity. It means choosing responses that strengthen you instead of draining you. When anger appears, don't let it control you. Use it as fuel to improve something. When sadness appears, don't drown inside it. Allow it to deepen your compassion and understanding. The Stoics practiced a habit called evening reflection. Every night they reviewed their day and asked themselves, what emotions did I feel today? Which emotions helped me? Which emotions controlled me? How can I respond better tomorrow? This simple habit creates self-awareness, and self-awareness creates emotional strength. When you begin mastering your mood, something incredible happens. You stop fearing your emotions because you know you can handle them. You stop avoiding difficult situations because you trust yourself emotionally, and slowly, you become the calm person others rely on during stressful moments. Always remember this. Your emotions are information, not instructions. Anger tells you something matters. Fear tells you to pay attention. Sadness reminds you something meaningful was lost. But none of those emotions should make your decisions for you. Your mood is like the weather inside your mind. And just like weather can be studied and understood, your emotional world can also be managed with awareness and practice. Repeat this affirmation daily. I control my emotions and ban emotions. Lesson 3. Build daily discipline. Healthy habits create lasting results. Number 3. Master your money, the tool of freedom. Money reveals your true habits more clearly than almost anything else in life. It's not just paper or numbers in a bank account. Money represents your time, energy, effort, and choices. And the way you use it determines whether you live freely or become trapped by your own desires. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, was extremely wealthy. Yet he once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who always wants more." who is truly poor. And he didn't just preach this philosophy, he practiced it. Even though he had great wealth, he regularly chose simple living. Sometimes he slept on the floor and ate basic meals to remind himself that happiness doesn't depend on luxury. Here's the hard truth most people avoid. If you can't control your spending, you will eventually lose control of your life. Every purchase either moves you closer to freedom or deeper into dependence. But mastering money doesn't mean becoming cheap or never enjoying life. It means using money intentionally instead of emotionally. When you spend money because you feel bored, lonely, sad, or insecure, money controls you. But when you spend money on things that truly improve your life, support your growth, or help others, then you control money. The Stoics believed material things are useful, but they should never become your source of identity or happiness. Think about your last impulse purchase, that thing you bought but barely use now. Ask yourself honestly, what were you really trying to buy? Was it the product itself? Or were you trying to buy comfort, attention, excitement, validation, or status? Here's a simple habit that can completely change your relationship with money. Before buying anything unnecessary, pause and ask yourself, what am I actually trying to feel right now? If the answer is emotional, like happiness, confidence, or comfort, try finding that feeling without spending money first. Many times, you'll realize you never truly needed the purchase at all. But real financial discipline goes beyond spending wisely. It's also about creating value. The Stoics believed work should contribute something meaningful to society. When you focus on serving people through your work, money naturally becomes a result of that value. Instead of chasing money directly, you focus on becoming useful. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself every morning, "I rise today to do the work of a human being." When you begin seeing your work as service instead of just survival, your mindset changes completely. You bring more purpose, excellence, and dedication into what you do, and that often leads to greater success naturally. One habit completely changed my understanding of money. I stopped tracking only where my money went and started tracking how I felt after spending it. I created 3 simple categories: purchase, reason for buying it, how I felt afterward. What I discovered shocked me. The things that brought lasting happiness were almost always connected to my values. Books that helped me grow, experiences with loved ones, or tools that improved my work. But emotional spending, status purchases, and impulse buying usually left me feeling empty or regretful afterward. That small habit gave me more clarity than any budgeting app ever could. Money. Mastery also means understanding the difference between things that grow your future and things that slowly drain it. Every dollar you spend should either improve your life, increase your skills, strengthen your peace of mind, or help you serve others better. Lesson 4. Practice gratitude. A simple shift that changes everything. Once you begin thinking this way, something powerful starts to happen. You stop simply consuming life and start building a life of freedom. The goal isn't to become obsessed with money or collect endless wealth. The real goal is freedom. The freedom to be generous, take meaningful risks, and make decisions based on your values instead of fear or financial pressure. Number 4, master your mind, the command center of your life. Your mind is like a garden. Every thought you entertain is a seed you plant. The question is, what kind of life are your thoughts growing? Right now, thousands of thoughts are competing for your attention. Worries about the future, regrets from the past, judgments, fears, distractions, doubts, and endless mental noise. Most people spend their entire lives trapped inside this chaos without realizing they actually have the power to choose which thoughts deserve their energy. Epictetus once taught, "Wealth does not come from having many possessions, but from having few wants." And he wasn't speaking only about money. He was talking about mental peace. The moment you stop giving attention to every negative thought that enters your mind, you become mentally richer, calmer, and more focused. Think about this carefully. You would never allow random strangers to walk into your house and rearrange everything inside it. Yet many people allow random thoughts to walk into their minds and completely destroy their peace. One negative thought, if entertained long enough, can ruin an entire day. That's why the Stoics practice something called mindful awareness, constantly observing and questioning their thoughts, not blindly believing them. It's like becoming the gatekeeper of your own mind. You decide which thoughts are allowed to stay and which ones need to leave. Here's a simple practice that can change your life immediately. For the next week, every time you notice yourself spiraling into negative thinking, pause and ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is this thought moving me closer to the person I want to become or farther away? If the thought isn't helping you grow, replace it with one that does. But mastering your mind doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. It's not fake positivity. It means choosing useful thoughts over destructive ones. Instead of thinking, this is terrible, everything is ruined, you train yourself to think, this is difficult, but I can find a way through it. The situation remains the same, but your mental experience becomes completely different. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Our life becomes what our thoughts make it." He understood that even as the ruler of Rome, he couldn't control wars, betrayal, illness, or death. But he could control his inner world, and that gave him strength. Your mind constantly creates stories about events around you. Someone doesn't smile at you, and your mind creates a story about rejection. Traffic gets heavy, and your mind creates a story about disaster and stress. Your boss asks to speak with you, and your mind immediately assumes something bad is about to happen. But here's the truth. You can rewrite those stories in real time. Maybe that person is struggling with their own problems. Maybe traffic is giving you an opportunity to slow down, reflect, or learn something new. Maybe your boss has good news instead of bad news. The Stoics called this the discipline of judgment, separating facts from the emotional stories we attach to them. For example, fact, it's raining outside. Story, this ruined my entire day. The rain is real. The suffering comes from the story. The moment you learn this distinction, your emotional freedom grows dramatically. Try this exercise right now. Think about something stressing you lately. Now separate the actual facts from the story you've been telling yourself about those facts. You'll quickly realize that most stress doesn't come from reality itself. It comes from interpretation. Lesson 5. Strengthen your mind. Resilience improves every area of life. Your mind is incredibly powerful when it's given direction. Instead of letting it wander endlessly through fear and worry, give it problems to solve. Instead of asking, what if everything goes wrong? Ask yourself, what's the best possible way to handle this situation? Your mind naturally looks for answers, but it needs leadership from you. Always remember, every thought you repeatedly think is shaping the person you are becoming. Little by little, your thoughts build your identity. You are constantly thinking yourself into existence. Repeat this affirmation. I am the architect of my mind. Number 5, the ripple effect. How self-mastery transforms your entire life. Here's the beautiful thing about mastering these 4 areas. They don't improve your life separately. They improve everything together. It's like tuning an instrument. When one string becomes balanced, the others begin sounding better too. When you master your mouth, people trust your words more deeply because you speak with wisdom instead of impulse. When you master your mood, you become calm and stable during chaos, and people naturally feel safe around you. When you master your money, you gain the freedom to make decisions based on purpose instead of desperation. And when you master your mind, you begin seeing opportunities where others only see obstacles. But the real transformation happens in the connection between all 4. Let me tell you about Sarah, a single mother who attended one of my workshops. When she first arrived, she felt completely overwhelmed. She was drowning in debt, constantly frustrated with her children, anxious about the future, and trapped inside negative thought patterns that kept her awake every night. 6 months later, she sent me a message I'll never forget. By applying these principles consistently, she had paid off her credit card debt and even started a small side business. Her relationship with her children completely changed because she learned to respond with patience instead of frustration. But the biggest transformation was internal. She said, "For the first time in years, I finally feel calm, confident, and in control of my life again." That's the power of inner mastery. Stoic wisdom creates what psychologists today call an upward spiral. Every small victory strengthens your confidence in another area of life. When you successfully control your words during an argument, you prove to yourself that you can also control your emotions. When you resist an impulse purchase, you strengthen the same mental discipline needed to resist negative thinking. Everything connects. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The Stoics deeply understood this idea. They knew that every small act of discipline creates momentum. Every day you practice these principles, life becomes a little easier, your mind becomes a little stronger, and your future becomes a little brighter. Think about who you were 6 months ago. What struggles were controlling your life back then? Now imagine who you could become 6 months from today if you consistently practice these lessons every day. The distance between your current life and your potential life is not as large as it seems. It's simply built through small daily choices repeated consistently over time. And here's something important to remember. You do not need to master everything at once. Trying to perfect all 4 areas immediately often leads to frustration and burnout. Instead, choose the one area that speaks to you the most right now. Focus on improving that single area for the next 30 days. As you grow stronger there, the other areas will naturally begin improving too. The Stoics believed in the interconnectedness of all things. Your inner growth doesn't only change your life, it also changes the people around you. When you become calmer in your speech, you reduce conflict. When you become emotionally stronger, you spread peace. When you become disciplined with money, you reduce stress for yourself and your family. And when you strengthen your mind, you inspire others to believe they can do the same. Lesson 6. Protect your peace. Emotional balance creates a better life. When you learn to manage your emotions, something beautiful begins to happen. Your relationships become healthier. Your home becomes more peaceful. And the people around you begin feeling safer and calmer in your presence. When you control your reactions, arguments become conversations instead of conflicts. When you handle emotions wisely, your family feels more understood and supported. When you manage money responsibly, you teach your children discipline and stability without even speaking about it. And when you train your mind to think constructively, you stop becoming a source of stress and start becoming a source of solutions. But perhaps the greatest transformation is this. You stop seeing difficulties as punishments and start seeing them as opportunities to grow stronger. Every difficult conversation becomes practice for controlling your words. Every stressful situation becomes training for emotional balance. Every financial challenge becomes an opportunity to build wisdom and discipline. And every negative thought becomes a chance to strengthen your mind. This single shift in perspective changes everything. You stop living like a victim of life, and you start living like a student of life. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this situation teaching me?" That mindset alone can completely transform the way you experience life. Repeat this affirmation. Every challenge is helping me grow stronger. We began this journey with Epictetus, a man who transformed himself from a physical slave into one of history's greatest spiritual teachers. His power didn't come from changing the world around him, it came from mastering himself within that world. And today, you have the same choice he once made over 2,000 years ago. You now understand that true freedom is not about having endless options. True freedom comes from making wise choices consistently. You've learned that your mouth, mood, money, and mind are deeply connected. Together, they either build your inner strength or slowly weaken it. But remember this above all else. This journey is not about perfection. It's about living with awareness and intention. Every time you pause before reacting, you strengthen control over your words. Every time you choose a calm response during emotional moments, you strengthen emotional mastery. Every time you spend money according to your values instead of your impulses, you build financial wisdom. And every time you redirect a negative thought, you reclaim power over your mind. The ancient Stoics lived through wars, sickness, political chaos, betrayal, and personal loss. Their lives were far from easy, but they possessed something far more valuable than comfort: inner strength that could not easily be shaken. And that same strength is available to you today. Your transformation begins with one simple decision: the decision to take responsibility for your inner world. Not because life is always fair, it isn't. Not because the journey is easy, it won't be. But because you deserve to live as the master of your own life instead of becoming controlled by circumstances. 6 months from now, one of two things will happen. You will either remain the same person, struggling with the same habits, fears, and frustrations, or you will become someone who handles life with wisdom, discipline, calmness, and inner confidence. That choice belongs completely to you. And the best moment to begin is now. Remember the words of Epictetus: "No one can hurt you without your permission." Today, you take that permission back. Today, you stop reacting automatically and start responding intentionally. Today, you begin moving from chaos toward control, from emotional slavery toward inner freedom. The 4 pillars of mastery are now in front of you. Your future self is waiting for the choices you make today. And somewhere in the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, their teachings still remind us that strength begins within. Take the first step. Start today. Start now. If this message connected with you, leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Write your commitment in the comments below and continue this journey towards self-mastery. Your transformation has already begun. When you control your reactions, arguments become conversations instead of conflicts. When you handle emotions wisely, your family feels more understood and supported. When you manage money responsibly, you teach your children discipline and stability without even speaking about it. And when you train your mind to think constructively, you stop becoming a source of stress and start becoming a source of solutions. But perhaps the greatest transformation is this: you stop seeing difficulties as punishments and start seeing them as opportunities to grow stronger. Every difficult conversation becomes practice for controlling your words. Every stressful situation becomes training for emotional balance. Every financial challenge becomes an opportunity to build wisdom and discipline. And every negative thought becomes a chance to strengthen your mind. This single shift in perspective changes everything. You stop living like a victim of life, and you start living like a student of life. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this situation teaching me?" That mindset alone can completely transform the way you experience life. Repeat this affirmation: "Every challenge is helping me grow stronger." We began this journey with Epictetus, a man who transformed himself from a physical slave into one of history's greatest spiritual teachers. His power didn't come from changing the world around him, it came from mastering himself within that world. And today, you have the same choice he once made over 2,000 years ago. You now understand that true freedom is not about having endless options. True freedom comes from making wise choices consistently. You've learned that your mouth, mood, money, and mind are deeply connected. Together, they either build your inner strength or slowly weaken it. But remember this above all else: this journey is not about perfection, it's about living with awareness and intention. Every time you pause before reacting, you strengthen control over your words. Every time you choose a calm response during emotional moments, you strengthen emotional mastery. Every time you spend money according to your values instead of your impulses, you build financial wisdom. And every time you redirect a negative thought, you reclaim power over your mind. The ancient Stoics lived through wars, sickness, political chaos, betrayal, and personal loss. Their lives were far from easy, but they possessed something far more valuable than comfort: inner strength that could not easily be shaken, and that same strength is available to you today. Your transformation begins with one simple decision: the decision to take responsibility for your inner world. Not because life is always fair, it isn't. Not because the journey is easy, it won't be. But because you deserve to live as the master of your own life instead of becoming controlled by circumstances. 6 months from now, one of two things will happen. You will either remain the same person, struggling with the same habits, fears, and frustrations, or you will become someone who handles life with wisdom, discipline, calmness, and inner confidence. That choice belongs completely to you. And the best moment to begin is now. Remember the words of Epictetus: "No one can hurt you without your permission." Today, you take that permission back. Today, you stop reacting automatically and start responding intentionally. Today, you begin moving from chaos toward control, from emotional slavery toward inner freedom. The 4 pillars of mastery are now in front of you. Your future self is waiting for the choices you make today. And somewhere in the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, their teachings still remind us that strength begins within. Take the first step. Start today. Start now. If this message connected with you, leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Write your commitment in the comments below and continue this journey towards self-mastery. Your transformation has already begun.